The New Information Society. So it was in the moon, when the geese fly south, in the year of the planting of the tree of the great long leaves, in the century that was the 11th to follow our activities in Galilee, that peace came to the North American forest. In time the Tuscarora joined the Confederacy, completing the body of 6 nations as it is historically remembered. As the years passed, dozens of other tribes and nations came to enjoy the peace that spread out from this powerful alliance, influencing tribes as far away as the Osage and the Omaha. The Iroquois League did much to spread the wisdom of the sacred hoop and the peace that follows it just as surely as summer follows spring. For nearly 3 centuries, the religion of the circle was honored again among the Iroquois and among the many tribes with whom they traded. The teachings of the flowering tree came to influence those who dwelt in the great central valley of the Mississippi, the Ohio River Valley, the Montreal, and the Tennessee River valleys, and all the forest in between. The deities of sky, sun, moon, and rainbow were appreciated and celebrated. Weapons were few. From Lake Onondaga, peaceful trade spread for hundreds of miles to the north, south, east, and west. Beautiful artwork was created, jewelry, pottery, paintings of exquisite and insightful design. Great mounds of earth in the shape of animals and birds were uncovered and once again became centers of spiritual unity and harmony among the nations. Ceremonies among circles of stone reminded people that life itself was the greatest of all ceremonies. Though it was the coming of the Europeans that finally obliterated the last vestiges of the Great Peace, by then the League had already degenerated. Scanning over the images the present American generation holds of this era, we see numerous misperceptions. On one hand, there are images from those who have romanticized the Native Americans of the 15th and 16th century, depicting them as an idyllic people, which they certainly at that time were not. On the other hand, there are the official images of which virtually every American schoolchild is familiar. Neither of these extremes is accurate. Yet the truth lies closer to the images of the Romanticists, who at least had some sense of the vision world that the Native Americans inhabited, a world of consciousness that to this day Europeans have not understood. Intuitively, the more perceptive of the Romanticists were able to sense the state of American affairs as they did indeed exist thousands of years before the European conquest, and in good conscience they confused this earlier time with the America of New Amsterdam, fur trades, pilgrims, and champagne. Even after most of us had retreated into the spirit world, even in locations where none of us had been incarnate for 1,000 years, Native American tribes continued to at least recognize our spirit presence. In South and Central America, values degenerated more rapidly, but in North America, right up until the coming of the white man, there were basic values that were never violated. For example, until the Europeans introduced it as a genocidal measure to eliminate the natives, the concept of scalping was unheard of. The concept of hunting and killing an animal solely for its fur was equally foreign to our people. Even among the most fearsome American tribes in pre-Columbian times, an animal was never killed without giving thanks to its spirit, without utilizing its meat in reverence and gratitude. But the cold merchants who were allowed to prosper in the cults of European monarchs during the 16th and 17th centuries saw the natives of America as tools, dupes, fools, to be bribed into their employ when convenient, and to be hunted as animals when exterminating them would make for greater profits. When these merchants had their academians write the history books, they made no mention of the vision world or noble characteristics of Native American people. Instead, they made much of the doings of the more unscrupulous, natives, depicting all Americans as savages and heathen. But this was to be expected. It was, after all, still the Dark Ages. Only the very worst or the very finest of America's native children continued with their walks upon the earth. The gentler spirits had long before chosen to withhold incarnation. By the middle of the 17th century, even natives of warrior inclination began to do the same. Between the 1650 and 1900, the aboriginal population of North America was reduced by nearly 80%. Neither Hiawatha nor Dagandawitta could turn back the tide of history. Even the Iroquois League could not hold back the inevitable mingling of the four races that was destined to precede our return to the earth. But just as for Europeans, the teachings of Jesus helped to diminish the violence of the past 2 millennia, so did our activities in the founding of the Iroquois League and the founding of the present American system of government help to diminish the violence of those more recent centuries. You remember those years of Anno Domini as violent times, but the fact that you remember them at all and have preserved records and delicate artifacts is evidence that they were a vast improvement upon the darkness that preceded them. As you thank God for the people and ideas that helped to make these centuries much better than the worst they could have been, thank also the deities of sky, sun, moon, and star. Thank the deities that live within the tree, that bubble forth in the springs that give you your water to drink, that ripen the wheat, the corn, the potato in the field. For all of these deities, ignored though they have been, have continued to exercise a benevolent influence and have helped to lighten for you the trauma of these past centuries. Speaking in whispers here and there, as gentle voices in your dreams, as soothing images from the trees outside your window, as you drift at night into sleep, in a myriad of unnoticed ways, they have come to you and taken the edge off of your aggressiveness. Thank them. They have forestalled many sorrows. Honor and revere them. They are the servants of God. The same deities that the Druids thanked with their first cup of water at every bubbling forest spring. The same beings the African Bushmen and the Australian Aborigines call upon today. They are not pagan gods. They are helpful beings, essential energies, not one of which lacks consciousness. They are specific ways that God has chosen to serve you in this material world. Every time you give reverence to any one of these, you honor God. You are perhaps the only people that has not a name for these subtle essences of divinity, forming the great pantheon of wonder, vibrating and scintillating like the colors of the rainbow. They unite in a single great spirit, the same Christ, the same Wakantaka, the same eternal starfire love, the spark everywhere honored as the source of life. Just as there is no conflict, in reality, between the elemental forces of the earth and the whisperings of the solar wind, just as there is no conflict between ocean and shore, between female and male, between moonlight, sunlight, noontide or night, neither is there conflict between the monotheism of the European traditions and the pantheism of earth peoples the world over. Let the distortions and abuses of both traditions fall away. In this new world of light, we see God in all things. Understand that to honor any aspect of God is to honor God. Let reverence be not reserved solely for an image in your cathedral or consciousness. Extend it to every sparrow, every child, every flower. Give it to every pebble sparkling on the beach. Honor the Spirit of God, not in the abstract, but in your sisters, in your brothers, and in your own heart. Give freely of your reverence. Give it to the deer of the forest, to the eagle who winds her way through the mountain passes, to the beaver who loves every moment of his life. This is how you honor God.